And okay, I'm going to keep the lights on just to keep you guys awake a little bit longer. How's that? All right. Let me reiterate for those of you who might not have been here in the beginning of class. I described my personality for this class as being two different people. One is your cheerleader. You weren't here for this part, were you? You weren't here for this part. One is that I'm your cheerleader, I'm your supporter, I'm your guide. I'll help you in any way I can, along with everybody in this class who is also your cheerleader, supporter, and guide to get the most authentic portfolio for you as a result of this class. The other side of this personality of mine is I am your client. You need to meet deadlines, you need to deliver on schedule, you need to deliver the product as requested. So tonight, you know, it's not a formal presentation tonight. So it's just kind of for all of us to get an overview of everybody's work. But understand that meeting the deadlines, delivering what's asked for is imperative, just as it would be for a client, just to reiterate. Now, when I look at everybody's portfolio and work, we all have really different purposes and different intentions. Some of you are still getting digital files from the work that you're doing now. Some of you are kind of starting from ground zero. Some of you are applying to colleges with your portfolio. Some of you are trying to get work. And some of you are refining your portfolio that is already really quite beautiful. So there, for this class, let me turn off the lights again so hopefully you don't fall asleep. So for this class, there's a sign up, I want to reiterate, where you meet with me, and the date I hope shows here on the 24th of September, where you're going to come and show me your portfolio. We've got a 15-minute window of time. No more. We can't exceed it. Yeah, Katie?
Well, I haven't signed up and they're all full.
I'll add more. Okay. Really? There's not enough slots?
Well, they all say full, so maybe you can't.
Did I skip 15-minute slots? Did I miss something? No? Okay, then I'll make another date is what's going to have to happen, because I don't really want to go like to midnight. All right, so I'll make another date. And you know what? If you're not signed up, email me. How's that? Okay? Email me if you haven't signed up at victoria@victoriatorf.com. And that's where I'm going to look over your portfolio and give you my little uncensored feedback, okay? And I'll try and help you as best I can. But the idea is to make it the best. So accept the critiques, do what you wish. The feedback that we got today, hopefully for each of you, hopefully there's going to be snippets of information that's going to help you understand what people really see. I mean, I don't know if you guys signed your name to it or not. I assume they were kind of anonymous, and that's a good thing. Take it, look at it, decide if it's valuable information and if it's useful for you, right? And we're going to keep critiquing and refining our portfolios in front of each other for the semester. Now, what I do observe is this. For a lot of you, you actually have a huge breadth of work and very beautiful portfolios. So when I look at your very polished portfolios that you have in your presentation or your organization or the scope of work you've done, I say that the value of this class for you is that you're going to make you will make self-promo videos to promote yourself. You're going to have the opportunity to make a self-promo video. You might have the opportunity to revise your branding package. And one of the things that I think is incredibly important is some kind of leave behind piece. If you send somebody to your website, for example, because all your work is digital and you want to be only digital and nothing in print, and that's your portfolio, only digital, nonetheless, you might have a physical, non-digital leave behind piece. Whether that is, like Daryl, you had that t-shirt, right? Was it your t-shirt? Yeah. You had a little brochure that was folded like a t-shirt, and you said you wanted to ultimately make a t-shirt, right?
Well, it was like for my own, if I start a t-shirt company.
Oh,
to
if
use
you
that.
start a t-shirt company, okay. But maybe for your portfolio, you start to print a leave behind piece of a grunge t-shirt, of something like you'd want to create. Or maybe for your digital portfolio, if you're in the film industry, you buy one of those empty canisters, old film canisters, which I obviously don't use anymore, but maybe your portfolio is a leave behind of a film canister filled with candy that says, you know, I don't know, help me with that. But you get the idea. You might decide that the benefit of this class, if your portfolio has been polished and refined, is your self-promo pieces that come as a result of the class. If you're looking for a college portfolio, my guess is showing a wide range of work and explaining all the application software that you've already learned and talking about the goal of the project, the objective of it, and how you met the objective, and your creativity behind it. That might be the way you approach a project where you're creating an environment for the piece. We look at a poster and we don't know the context of it. And as a student, you're not at the place of where somebody else who's done more professional work for years, right? I mean, if you come to the door of a client and I come to the door of a potential client, why will they hire you compared to me, right? I mean, I think for all of you, that's probably a scary question to ask. Well, they'll hire you instead of me for a variety of reasons. They'll either hire you because they want somebody they can mold. They'll hire you because they want somebody who they can guide. They'll hire you because you're a third of the price of me, or a tenth of the price of me, or whatever you are. They'll hire you because they want somebody on staff. They'll hire you because they like your style and I don't have that style. So that's why I'm saying you're needing to create a portfolio that's authentic to you, because there's somebody for everybody. There's enough business to go around, and being clear about what you're seeking and what you truly excel at is really important. And I can't tell you that. You really have to sit back and go, okay, what do I really want to accomplish with my portfolio? It's why when Mimi started, I kind of kept hammering her. Mimi, do you want to earn a living at photography? I mean, it's all nice for us to take pictures, but do you want to earn a living at it? If what you want is to get enough work where you create a portfolio of this variety of work to create a show, terrific. And take your portfolio around and show it to a restaurant and make a show at a restaurant, why not, right? Get exposure, start building your resume, your CV, your accreditation to other people. So you start building it. Decide if you really want to earn money at it, if you want to go to school based on it, if you want to get work from it. And if you already have work, when you start out, when I started my own business, I worked for a newspaper, so I had stuff like Marianne has, what clients hired me to do that I didn't really like the look of, that met the objective, but I didn't really like it. But I did it. I did what my client asked. And then I had a portfolio of one company, where I did a range of work. So I had a very small portfolio. What I had was a lot of earnestness, a lot of passion, and somebody who was willing to say, yeah, sure, I'll hire you. Like, what the heck? The worst that I've done is I'm out so much money to this girl who's really trying to get work, and if we don't like it, we don't have to use it. You're going to get a break. Somebody's going to give you a break, and that's going to build your portfolio even more. And when somebody gives you a break, you're going to be so grateful. You're going to work so hard and totally blow the budget, right? Because you're going to be so happy to have the work. You can work 20 hours when you get paid for one. But that's how you build your portfolios. So all I say is, for the semester, use what your other classes are fueling you to expand your portfolio. But pick your niche. I can't pick it for you. Pick your niche. And then look ahead. This class is packed. I'm going to tell you what's in front of us right now. Again, to stay on schedule. Just looking at the assignments when you get to the home page is not going to keep you on schedule. There's so many other hoops to jump through, all right? So probably the best way to stay on schedule, even for me, because I keep referring to it, is the link that says stay on schedule. What you have to have for the end of this class for your portfolio are all of these items, which have links to the assignment. And where we're at right now, we had no meeting. You should have read the links. You should have read the book on resumes and cover letters and business cards. You should have gone to the links about QR codes, which I'm not going to reiterate. There's a zillion links for you. And there's videos on QR codes and how they're used. And then you should have gone to the link and refined your identity package. This is where you should be, because you're going to be working on your identity package. And your identity package, if you're not happy with it, you should be refining it today. I'm not instructing you how to refine it. If you want my opinion about your identity package, what do I think about your logo and so forth? Like I looked at, where's Katie? When I looked at Katie's logo and I said, well, gosh, you have this whimsy and you have dark. What are you choosing here? Who are you? Where I would get started for all of you is really here with the resume assignment, which is what you're going to be working on right now, and your cover letter. And personally, I would go further. I would do the resume, cover letter, and an artist statement all at the same time. And the reason I would do that is because it's kind of the conversation I had the first day of class. You really have to decide who you are, what you're pursuing, who you are, how to position yourself in the marketplace. It's not enough, and Mimi knows me well enough that I love picking on you. It feels like I'm picking on you, but I know that you feel okay about it, I hope, anyway.
Yeah.
But, Mimi's like, okay, I want to be a photographer, and you look at her photography, and your photography is beautiful. And I look at your photography, and I see patterns, like I mentioned in class, and I saw textures with effects on windows and light, and I saw the woman with the shoes that time. That was like the only people picture I think you had. And I thought, okay, so that is not enough of a portfolio. It's not. So you need to, if you're a photographer, you need to expand your breadth of photography that's authentic to you. And in the graphic design scope of it, you need to brand yourself very specifically. You need to make a logo that is so authentic to you. And if your style is about, like I said, your little 3 Ps I came up with people, poetry, and pattern. Thank you. You were listening. And
I wrote it down.
oh, good. But I thought about it, and I thought, okay, so your logo might reflect that. So start refining your identity package so it truly is a reflection of you. Who had a logo that they didn't like? Danielle had the logo with the flowers, the daffodils, because she loves daffodils, right? Remember her identity package? And all she says is, I hate it. She couldn't get it off the screen fast enough. So, but she does like drawing flowers, because you had that as your process book. You do like things that are pretty happy. You have pretty happy art. And that's your niche. I mean, could you imagine Daryl going in for an interview and you going in for an interview and somebody looking at Daryl's, what do you call it, your demon kind of rock band work? Morbid art, thank you. And then you look at Danielle with her daffodils and you say, okay, you're both qualified. You're both skilled in the software. You both have the same graphic skills and work with software. But why will we hire Daryl or why will we hire Danielle? There's somebody for everybody. It's what somebody's looking for. It's not a rejection of morbid art, or it's not a rejection of daffodils. It's finding the appropriate connection. And that's what it's all about. It really is what it's all about. So let's look at the scope of work. Also, many of you have interactive files that you didn't show. Many of you have websites you didn't show. You're going to really have to decide whether your portfolio is print, or your portfolio is digital, or your portfolio is both. If you are getting hired by Roxanne, is it your dad with the coffee company? Is it? Oh, okay. Kaylee's dad with the coffee company. So does your dad know computer graphics?
A little bit, not very much.
Okay, did you see your face? Well, he could do email, right? Right?
Yeah, he
Okay.
does some Photoshop. But
Okay.
That's it.
So let me explain that to you. If my parents own a business, my dad is 90, okay? My mom's 80 something. If you showed them your portfolio and you gave them a digital, if you gave them and you said, well, go to your iPad and flick and poke and spread, right, and do all that interactivity, they just smile at you. You're a nice girl. They say, you're a nice girl. And if you sent them to a website, they would try to navigate to the website. Those would be the people you would hand a physical portfolio to and say, look what I could do for you. Decide who you're after, right? My portfolios never used to be, I know I started telling you this, I don't want to repeat it. My portfolios obviously weren't digital, it didn't exist then. My portfolio was carrying a suitcase of my stuff. And then I got tired of my suitcase because I did a lot of work. My suitcase got heavier. So I then took photographs like, who did the shoes and the, if you can't wear something nice, don't wear anything at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's yours. See, it was catchy, wasn't it? We saw a naked body and, yeah, right. So you took your folded piece, which was die cut, because you die cut it, and you photographed it. And that's what I suggest. So if you have a lot of physical pieces that have been folded and printed and so forth and have unique folding, don't ever present them flat. Take your folded piece, print it out, create a beautiful mock-up, get a white sheet, go in the shade, get your iPhone, you don't need a fancy camera, and snap a photograph in the shade with a total white seamless background of your physical piece. And keep the perspective and the scale of the photograph. Keep the same focal distance. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Keep the same focal distance so when you create this physical presentation of a three-dimensional piece, you have a clean presentation. Now, print it out. Print it out here, print it here. Print out your pieces so you can photograph them. And the cool part is you all know Photoshop. So if your photos are crummy, you can touch them up because they're not going to know, right? So just because you're a student and you didn't have a piece truly professionally printed doesn't mean you can't touch it up. I went to graduate school and I had to do a design methodology book, and it was a series of 6 publications, and I was supposed to print all these books and so forth, and all I'm thinking about is, oh my God, that's so much money. So I printed out my cover, and I made 6 books. They were all empty inside. I stacked the 6 books on top of each other with one cover showing, and then I folded open the book to my favorite spread and put my favorite spread in there, and all the other pages were blank. But who would know, right? I
That's
create.
not being honest. No.
Exactly. It's, and it was an online class. I didn't have to bring in my physical book. I had to create all the art. It was an online class. So it was smoke and mirrors. And I'm going to tell you that because you're creating a portfolio of things that may never get professionally printed. Who's to say that you didn't totally design something perfectly? I had to create a package design for a client of a box. Let's see if I can even pull it up. Not sure if I can. And it's for clients, and they needed the package design created long before the box was ever produced, and that's just smoke and mirrors behind me. The box doesn't exist. It's just, again, smoke and mirrors. So who's going to know that? I also created the box where I pulled out a prototype box and put in the CD and put in the liner and put in the containers and all the instrumentation inside it. And it's smoke and mirrors. So when you present an online portfolio, nobody's going to know. Step into it. If you want to get employed, show them your best stuff. If you have something physically printed that got professionally produced, then hand it to them as a leave behind. But ultimately, if you don't have physical pieces that you're proud of, then create the most incredible digital portfolio that creates the illusion that that package design was actually completed, and then have a leave behind piece that is professional, that's not less than, and decide what the leave behind piece is. Maybe it's a bunch of coffee cups. Look at Add Specialty stuff. I don't know what it is. Decide what it is you're going to do. I Googled, I clicked on one of those QR codes today, one of those links, and it showed cool uses for QR codes, and one of them was a cupcake with a square of a QR code printed on top of it. Did you guys see that yet? Yeah, and I looked and I thought, well, heck, that's a leave behind. One day you swing by this person's office who interviewed you, you leave a cupcake in a cute little bakery box, and you have then printed or gone to a chocolate maker and had your QR code of your website on the cupcake, and you tie a little thank you note on it. Sounds kind of perky, right? Kind of works for you, right? and but you know what? The other day I sent my client a box of sprinkles for the office. You guys know what sprinkles are? Those really super expensive cupcakes that they ship anywhere. Yeah, sprinkles. Everybody was like aglow.
That's because you want them to use you again. Is that why you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Just wanted to
Yeah, exactly. And so when I saw that little QR code on top of the cupcake, I thought, that's a leave behind piece. That says I'm clever, I'm creative, I'm really interested, and I'm going to drive here to leave this for you, to say thank you for your time, because I can't afford to take you to lunch, but I can afford to leave you a cupcake, right? I know it's not a printed piece, but sometimes printing pieces are really challenging. I used to print a huge printed piece that was fan folded of all my projects, and I do them one at a time because I couldn't afford to print them differently. And I made them as a leave behind piece, or I could drop it in the mail. So what you do have, you may not have money, but my guess is you'll make the time if you want the work, right? Yes.
There's a chocolatier in La Arcata, and they also have a place in Carpinteria, and they personalize the top of their chocolates. And the way I found out they did it is they do a transfer paper. I couldn't figure out
Right.
how they do it, but then they will also package them for you, and it was like $2.95.
Right. There's, Google stuff. But, let's face it, Daryl is not going to leave behind a cupcake, right? He might leave behind, on October 30th, or 31st, he might leave behind a little box which says your own, what do you call your stuff? Morbid. He might have his own morbid box for Halloween, where he puts in it whatever paraphernalia, little dollar items from the closeout Halloween store, right? He's sure. He's like, sure.
Assorted body parts.
He might leave like a limb. Let me give you a hand.
Something that pops up that scares you.
Right. But you know what? The creativity won't be lost on somebody. You decide how far it's appropriate for you to go. Okay. So that being said,
Quick question.
yes, Marilyn.
I heard what you said about portfolios, that you don't want them in black, the black vinyl thing, but for our meeting, can we present them to you in the black?
No, because it means you spent money on those things.
Well,
No.
I've already bought them and they're in there, so do we have to make a portfolio to see?
No, your portfolio for our meeting on the 24th is the beginning of the semester, and you're going to show me all your stuff.
Right, but can it be in one
It
of
can be
those
however
black
you want to do it.
things? Okay.
However you want to do it.
It could be digital.
It could be however you want to do it.
Okay, so it can
It's
be
where
one
I'm
of
going to sit
those-
there and point at something and go, you might want to rethink that.
Right, but it can be in one of those black things. for
Whatever
right now.
makes you happy.
Okay,
But you only get my 15 minutes of time, and the
Correct.
bell goes off, and
correct.
we're done.
Correct.
So, and that's really fast.
Right.
So, and that's how, I've also seen a little bit of an overview here. So let me talk about next week. Next week, you're going to have a guest speaker on internship opportunities. and on bookmaking and ebooks. So if that's something that interests you, that's where you're at. You're also going to start working on your artist statement, and I'm going to start, you're going to upload to the forum your branding, your logos, and you're going to, there's so many things to go over and it's late, and I want to talk a little more about your resume again. Let's talk about your logos because you should have this underway. Read through this, understand how to handle your logos, how to critique it. When you come on down here, I'm not going to read this to you because you can do it yourself. One of the things you're going to do is you're going to upload your logo design to the forum. You're going to ask 3 classmates. You can email in or ask them face-to-face in class if they will critique your work, so you're answerable to somebody. And they will evaluate them based on the criteria above here. So be sure that you're ready for that. Yes?
So you had said we had to make 20 logos, like traditional.
I'm sorry, say that again.
You had said that we had to do like around like 20 like sketches, and it could be traditional or retro, and then we go from there.
Yes, what I said is your logo design, if you're rethinking your logo, you might have a logo that's already done.
Like so many, so I was wondering how we can get a chance to get feedback from those, or are we just gonna choose the 3 best and then go from there?
No, you're asking 3 people to critique your logos,
Oh,
not 3 logos.
okay.
No, you're going to present whatever you think is appropriate for your logo. I wouldn't put 20 up there. You're going to get 20 different opinions. What I would do is I would narrow it down to your 1 or 2 favorite
And do them in vector.
and execute them and upload them, your logo design. If you already have one and you want to rethink it, fine. But I suggest that you upload a variety so you can get some feedback on what's the greatest strength of them. Okay? Let's see. There you go. Also consider your target audience. So Daryl's logo is not going to be
This,
daffodils unless they're coming up out of a grave and they're withered,
little skulls.
right? I'm having fun
Like
with
a
you,
black
Daryl.
and red.
Thank you. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's ahead. I just don't want you to miss the deadline. Your identity package is going to be part of the critique with me on the 24th also. What I do want you to get a jump start on here. All right, let's come back here. Here's your identity package in print. We touched on this, didn't we? Yes?
Yeah.
Last time we talked about mind mapping. We talked about QR codes. Here's where you get your 20 thumbnail sketches you remembered. Thank you. So create 20 thumbnail sketches for your logo design, and you can do them traditionally or in Illustrator. And then and I don't, personally, I feel differently about 3 different sizes. I think I mentioned that before, that I think logo designs can be one size only. It doesn't
Right.
need to scale up.
what do you mean by traditional?
What do I mean by traditional? You can create it traditionally, which means on paper. You can draw it. You know, my logo, I think I've showed you, my logo was an oil pastel, and then it's a scan.
And so for next class too, it doesn't matter if it is traditional.
However you wish to, you can thumbnail it, however you wish to execute it, you can, but it's ultimately going to be digital.
Yeah.
Even if you do a painting, photograph it, and that's your logo, that's going from traditional to take it digital, okay? Because that's how it'll be reproduced when it's printed or put on a website or whatever. What I do recommend about your logo is make it super small. Shrink it down so it's a little teeny, like 1/4-inch icon, and see if it still is readable. Really important to do.
Yes, it is.
Because,
Put it out on a website.
right, because when you make a logo that big, if it's not readable, it's not a successful logo. A logo always is going to be successful when it's this big. But if your font shrinks down to this tiny little thing and you can't read the type, then it is not a successful logo. You know, you have that beautiful kind of flaming font. If you shrink a flaming font down this small, it might not translate. So check it out. Be clear about what you've done. So read the parameters for the identity package.
Can the logo be just a picture? I don't
Your
mean a
logo
picture
is
as
your
pictures.
choice. It's
Okay,
your choice.
can be a figure.
It's your brand.
It's your brand. If you
Okay.
think your brand is a figure, so my guess,
My example is stick figure, not that I would use it.
your logo can be anything you
Okay.
want. It's your logo.
Thank you.
Authentic to you.
Can it be just
It
the
could-
text?
Pardon me?
Can it be just the text?
Could it just be typed? Sure. If you think that's right for you, sure. What did you have, Daryl? Yours was
Well, I don't have one now,
green
but-
key. What was that green key?
Yeah,
Was that a logo for you?
yeah, it was like a couple of years ago.
Right. Did you notice his logo with green key where the E was the unlocking of the key? Did you
It
guys?
suits him well.
And it was
What?
a skeleton
Suits him well.
key, which was.
It suits him well, and it was a skeleton key, right? So, just because something's typed doesn't mean you're always using the same font. Can you all picture what the Mobil Oil logo looks like?
Mm-hmm.
And the O has like a oil tank with a
Right.
oil slushing around in the O? No? You're gonna go Google it now, okay? So go click on all the links for logos. It'll give you ideas. There's zillions of identity packages here. I mean, you have all these self-promos to look at and consider how your logo is going to be used. Consider whether it's going to be primarily web or it's in print. Create a mind map, really important. Now, let me jump over here to resume and cover letter. So your first draft of your resume is going to get graded and needs to be uploaded by October 1st, and you're going to bring a printout to class. But it's going to take a while to prepare, so I recommend you jump on it. And also, as you evaluate your business, I personally love these assessments. I found these documents, and I think they're terrific. And do I have enough links here for you for different resumes? And there's some that are really awesome, and there's some that you might want to rethink. And I think I started the class by saying to you, I recommend that you have two different kinds of resumes. One might be the resume for you to apply to art school, and one might be the resume for you to get a job. One might be a resume for you to become an employee, and one might be a resume for you to be a freelancer and get hired as a freelancer. So the resume, the artist statement go hand in hand. Here's your criteria for creating your resume. First thing you must do, it's going to be turned in also, is what's called Get Down to Business. This is a self-assessment. And I love this thing. I think it's great. Fill it out. Just print it out, fill it out, or place your PDF file in InDesign and create a text box on top of it and type it. However you're happy, all right? Everybody knows how to do that, correct? Anybody not know what I'm saying? What's that?
I watched the video.
You watched a video, okay. All you do is you launch InDesign, you place the PDF, and in order to get all the pages, you have to show options, okay? There you go. So you need to answer this self-assessment. It's for you. Then here's a very elaborate Word document, which is also another self-assessment. And you know what? Answer it, because what this is going to do is force you to ask yourself questions that you're going to need to answer in order to find the work you want. It's going to help you answer very honestly about who you are and what you're good at. One of the things I am really good at as a designer is not my illustration skills. The best thing I'm good at as a designer, which is truly why I think I get hired, not to sound arrogant, is I'm a really good listener. I know how to ask the right questions to my clients, and then I listen to their answer. I told you all about my Rorschach test I give my clients. Right. So I give them a Rorschach test, and I hear what they have to say, and I get a sense of their personality. Write this down. You know what? If I'm hiring you, and what I really want is Elizabeth to be a good people manager, plus work independently, and be able to make a really well-organized plan for the business, for the hotel you work in, those are your assets. Rank yourself. See where your skills are. If you're a disorganized person and you never meet deadlines and you're just kind of ruffled all the time, and you know that's really who you are, that really is your personality, then own it, for God's sakes. Own it. I am not organized, I am not good, but I am a fabulous illustrator. Or I am fabulously creative. You just have to give me huge amounts of time to do the work. Or if your greatest skill is not the fact that you're not like the most brilliant designer, but man, you meet deadlines like clockwork and you are type A meticulous, there won't be a typo in your work, then sell it. God, sell it. Tell him that there will never be a typo in your work. Tell him that you will meet that deadline always a day early. So if something needs to be fixed, it can. Tell him that you don't mind working till midnight and you'll drive to their house to pick up what they need. Figure out what you're good at and feature it. Sell it. That's what you need to do, which is why I love these self-assessments. They're probably questions you certainly can answer, but you might not know that they would be valuable, right?
You might not want to answer.
Or you might not want to answer. And you know what? Don't sell yourself that, yes, I'm going to meet your deadlines all the time. Don't sell yourself that way. Sell yourself the way you know you're really best at. Sell yourself at, my greatest passion, let's say, is, I don't know, what's something totally random. My greatest passion is wine. So I am going to pursue the wine industry with fervor. I know wines, I understand wines, I know the whole process of manufacturing wines, so I can create marketing materials that understands the nuances of everything because I have a passion in it. Decide what your passion is and let that be what you promote most. So these are part of your process for your resume. These are going to be submitted, both these assessments, because I want to make sure that they get answered.
As a Word doc.
Whatever form you want to answer them in. I don't care.
Do we email it to you?
No. They're going to be part of your first submission with your first set of resumes that are going to get refined. Okay?
Just put them all into one PDF.
One PDF. Love those one PDFs.
And do you want the resumes at this point to be content only, or do you want them designed?
I leave that to you. Sometimes I'm such a visual thinker that I have to create a hierarchy for myself to think clearly. It's the way I do it.
I
I'll
have
make
to have my bedmate to do anything.
There you go. I mean, it's true. We all have our style. I have to make a headline, then I can put my details below it. I have to make another headline for the next topic, details below it. I'm a visual thinker. I have to organize it that way.
Oh, I meant more that there's like all these examples you gave. There's a lot
Of beautiful ones.
infographics and
Well, and you know what?
graphics and
Here's my
stuff.
favorite. I mean, I actually typed that in there. It doesn't mean it's good. 45 resumes to seize attention, like the one that smells like perfume,
Oh, no.
right? If you ever brought me a resume that smelled like perfume, I would just point. There's the door, right? And, here's a resume. Isn't this so clever? No, it's chaotic. I feel like I'm in school. Don't give it to me unless you're really good at being chaotic, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Everything, and that's not necessarily bad. Decide what your job is. There's a really cool video, which is somewhere. There's so many resources. I think it's on the homepage, as a matter of fact. Let me go backwards here. I think it's on Activity 3 homepage. There's a video of a guy who got interviewed by the news because he put out a resume. We'll find it. We'll come across it. He put out
that was so great. That
he
everybody
put out
wanted
a resume and he got like 1 million job offers
Yeah.
immediately.
it. Yeah,
Was that in week 2? Did I miss it?
yeah, that was good.
Not crowdsourcing. Anyway, was it in week 2? Branding, how to make your resume stand out, videos. No, QR codes. No, it's further down, I think. We'll find it. We haven't come to it yet. Yeah.
Victoria,
Yes.
what's your opinion on a resume? I made a website that's resume only.
A website that's resume only?
Yes, and I included in my cover letter with the
I
link.
wouldn't go there.
You wouldn't.
Hand me your resume. If you're handing me a resume, hand it to me. If you're sending me a PDF file, then give me everything in that one PDF file. Don't make me go to 2 different locations. I have a stack of resumes on my desk. I actually have a stack of resumes in my email. And you could be sure that I am not going anywhere other than what my task at hand is.
But they allow things like your graphics to be shown and your.
I understand that. Then that's your website. Send me to your website if I want to look at your work further.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yes. I told you my parents have a business, so I interviewed somebody for their business and I put an ad in monster.com. Don't ever put an ad in monster.com. You do not want to receive resumes from there. There are hundreds. People don't even read what the job is and they press the button and they shoot off the resume. Same thing with Craigslist. They just press the button, shoot off the resume, and it's not custom to anything. And I won't even read a resume that doesn't have a cover letter. I won't read a cover letter that isn't addressed specifically to me with my name spelled correctly. I won't read a resume that starts out with a generic sentence at the top that says, I really want this job. I want a first opening sentence in my cover letter that says, Victoria, I haven't met you personally, but when I went to your website, I noticed that you did work for this client, so-and-so, and I love the nuances of the logo design that did this. I've worked really hard with trying to create tactile art, and I noticed that you were a fine arts major and that you did this, and I want that to be so personal that they know my dog's name. Okay? That's what I want, because I'll read it and I'll say, wow, they took a little time to get to know me. Do you know how many people call me up and say, do you have any work? And do you know how many people call me up and say, I'd like to send you my resume? And I say, I don't really have work for you right now, but if you do email it to me, I would be more than happy to keep it on file because I really do keep it on file. And then they don't follow up. And do you know how many people do email it to me but don't put a cover letter? It was so nice to chat with you. Thank you so much for looking at this. People have no class.
No, they don't.
You need to write a note. And then when you go meet somebody and you have an interview, you get out a piece of stationery, paper, and their address and their correct name, and with a pen, you write them a letter. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. Or you type a letter and then you handwrite at the bottom. And again, and by the way, how's your dog? Is her leg better? You make it so personal that they know that you are there. And then you follow up afterwards, even if you leave a voicemail, thank you so much for meeting with me.
Do you give them the letter that day?
No.
No, you send it, right?
You send it in snail mail.
Yeah, snail mail.
Or you send an email, thank you so much, and then the next day after that comes the snail mail, and the next day after that comes the cupcake, and the next day after that, or 3 days after that comes the, you know, I don't know if anything opens up yet, but I just want you to keep me in mind, I'm really hungry for work.
Right.
What's wrong with being hungry for work? Everybody's hungry for work, right?
It's like if you don't take pride in your resume, you're not gonna take pride in your work.
If you don't show that you're going to put the effort out to work for whoever you're interviewing with, if you ever get as far as an interview, you're getting somebody's time. Somebody's given you $50 or $100 worth of their billable time to interview you. That's a huge amount of time. You need to honor it. So when you create your resumes, there's all different kinds of concepts of the type of resume. Why isn't this clicking? Did I already open it? It's probably behind here. Yeah, there it is. Read through all these different resumes ideas. Read through, part of your resume is research your perfect job. And then write up a blurb about your perfect job, okay? And then copy the job description where you found it and include the information of your perfect job. Because knowing what's out there of the different type of jobs, you might decide that you're such a car buff that the only type of people you want to work for are auto mechanics, auto manufacturers, engine manufacturers, or alternative fuel manufacturers. make your resume geared absolutely towards that. Be really specific. Your first shot at your resume is your first shot at your resume. It's going to get revised. And if you're writing 2 resumes and you're submitting it, say this one is for looking for freelance work, this one is looking for employment. And I will tell you a little secret about me, and I know it's late, so I'm really conscious of it. I'm sorry. A little secret about me is I used to be a school teacher, like a high school, junior high, elementary school teacher. And I know, shocking. And
What did you teach?
well, I taught very briefly because, and I'll tell you why also, because Prop 13 went through, if you guys know what Prop 13 is, which means that there was a complete hiring freeze on teachers. So I never got employed, which is, I had part-time gigs, I had non-contract gigs. Like, well, I had long-term sub stuff, and I taught a private school and so forth, and I thought, well, enough of this. I'm going to take my degree and my interest in art, and I'm going to go to the big business world and go into advertising. And that's kind of how I got into advertising, kind of through a back door. But the reason that's relevant is I also got so good at writing resumes, I taught a course called Creating a Resume, what was it called? It was how to create a resume, if you're a teacher, that's a non-teacher resume. Now think about what it takes to be a teacher. Same thing it takes to be a good student, actually. It takes organization. It takes defining goals and objectives, right? It takes communication. And so here you are, a school teacher. Yes, I manage a classroom of 35 5-year-olds for kindergarten. We had playtime, we had yard time, we had nap time, we had, I don't know, help me with kindergarten. What do you do in
Art
kindergarten?
time.
We had jump roping time, we had art time, snack time. Right. All right, you get the idea. How do you take these skills as being a school teacher and turn them into the business world? Well, it's not hard. I managed an environment of 35 different personalities and managed to meet all their individual needs. I managed to create individualized programming for different levels of abilities within one environment. I was able to create plans for an entire 10-week or 16-week scope of work. I was able, you know what I'm saying? So you might decide that you have a skills-based resume, where instead of talking about your employment, I worked at Taco Bell, I worked at McDonald's, I then worked at the skateboard store, and then I worked at Nordstrom's. You might decide to say, I worked in the food industry, and my skill sets were I managed people, I organized work schedules. Consider the skills it took for the jobs that you did, because you might not have a job history right now that looks the way you want. You might have never been employed as a graphic artist. Well, give it away for free, okay? And then look at the person you give it away for free to and say, may I use you as a reference and this work as work I have done for you? And okay, you didn't receive an hourly wage for it, but you certainly did the work. They valued it enough to print it or use it. You understand? So as you look at these different resumes and as you read these resume websites, consider what you're trying to accomplish and how you can market yourself if you don't have a job history you want to show. You know, when I started my business as a graphic artist, I told you I worked for a newspaper. So I had a list of clients I sold ads to. And because I liked designing things, I designed it for them. And then I had a furniture manufacturer that was my first graphic design manager job, where I think I told you I learned by the seat of my pants. I think I already told you that story, right? Elizabeth, no? Yeah?
I can't remember the furniture.
You can't remember the story. Well, I don't want to spend a lot of time with this, but so I left teaching, got the first job that paid $25 more than the last job a month in the advertising industry, which was working for a newspaper, which I sold ads. And I didn't do what Marianne did. But then I met somebody like Marianne, and I said, what do you do? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Show me. And I learned graphic design that way. And then I wanted to get away from the newspaper and do more graphic design and not selling ads. And so I applied for a job at a furniture manufacturer. I really had no experience as a graphic artist. And it said advertising manager. And the way they were hiring their person is they asked you to create an ad campaign for them. And so it was a competitive process. They interviewed me, but they wanted to see show me your work, right? Well, we don't care what you did for the newspaper. We care what you're going to do for us, because I was kind of like an in-house agency. So they hired me, and I didn't know anything, so I asked all these questions. But then when I left that job and I started my own business, my resume still looked like a pretty short resume for advertising. So I just kept listing my clients. So it was an employment, it showed where I'd work, but I just kept listing my clients that I did graphic design for. So if you do something for your dad's coffee business and you do something for somebody else, you've now got 2 clients to list, right? And you get the idea. Decide how you build your resume based on what it is you're going after. You know, if you're Per and you've got an entire portfolio of clients that you've already done graphic design work for, you're showing them the skills you have. You're already there. And then you can list your clients in your resume. Instead, you might also, right, you can already do that. But the other thing is, now that you're all students of this program, you can list all your applications. I'm proficient in this and this and this. I'm proficient in Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, all Adobe Creative Suite software. I can learn anything, right? So you get the idea.
I do it all.
I know. There you go. I do it all, right? So let's get you started with all of that. Focus on your artist statement. I don't want to cover that right now, but do read ahead to it, because it's also going to help you think ahead. Mostly follow those questionnaires. And let's see where else we're headed here. I know it's late. I know it's time to go. I'm really aware of it.
Really?
I'm really aware
I
of
can
it.
tell that
I
you're
know.
really aware of it.
See, my Tammy's
It's really
in my class.
It's really bothering you.
It is. It is. I just want to make sure you have everything in line for what you need.
I appreciate it.
I know. I don't want to leave you in the lurch, you guys. Okay, so next week, you're going to hear a lecture on internship opportunities where they will provide you with jobs. So here are all these different design firms that you can do work for and have job experience. And then also you're going to hear about bookmaking and ebooks. And then make sure you come to class with your logos uploaded, 3 people you asked for your logos, and then just keep looking ahead for your plan. There any questions for anything?
Yeah, those logos, what are they saved as, JPEGs or?
You can save them however you want. My recommendation for a logo for everybody is to create a logo that's a vector graphic, even if you want your logo to be a photo. Only because vector graphics can increase in size and decrease in size.
So I could open my photo in Illustrator,
Live Tracer, remember that Live Trace business?
so I should do that in Illustrator. on
You
my
might try it, but you might not want it to be a photo.
Well, I was thinking of fading it just so I get some of the lines, but not really.
You might just want it to be type.
I'm thinking.
You might want it to be a tiny little iconic image, but God, not a camera, okay? Okay, so you guys have a great week. Post things on the Q&A if you have questions. Thanks for hanging in there.